All right, let's talk about playing harmonically in a minor key and recognizing a minor key when you are reading a chart or writing in minor or playing solos in a minor key. We're just going to do this one step at a time. We're going to start with a minor 7 flat 5 chord. Yes, you may know the shape of the chord. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is how the chord functions, where it comes from, and how you can use it musically. All right. So first of all, before we talk about a chord, we should really talk about the scale that it comes from. The chord that we're going to talk about specifically with a letter name, let's give it a letter name, is D minor 7 flat 5. And that puts us, if we see a D minor 7 flat 5, that tells us that we're most likely in the key of C minor because that's the 2 chord in a minor key. So since that D minor 7 flat 5 is a 2 chord in a minor key, I should begin by playing a minor scale. That's just a natural Aeolian mode, right? What is an Aeolian mode? 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7. So it's when you see the flat 3 or hear the flat 3, you'll know you're in a minor key. Period. Like flat 3 tells you that you're in a minor key, and the flat 6 is indicative of the natural minor, and then or the Aeolian mode, and then when you get to the flat 7, that tells the story. And then so we have flat 6, flat 7, and root. Okay, good. So now listen to this scale that I'm noodling on here, the Aeolian mode. And there is my minor 7 flat 5 chord. So what I'm trying to make clear there is it sounds right in the minor key. And the reason it sounds right in the minor key is because all the notes of the minor 7 flat 5 chord are derived from that Aeolian mode, right? So you can't really go wrong. All right. Now, what is the difference between a minor 7 flat 5 chord and just a plain minor 7? A minor 7 doesn't. We can look at spelling this in 2 different ways. One is just taking a look at the chord itself. So we have 1, a 5, right, in this chord, flat 7 and 3 up on top, flat 3. And then when we lower the 5, we have the minor 7 flat 5. But what that really is the flat 6 in the scale, right? So whenever you're trying to identify what's happening with the chord, it would be a good idea to start with the scale first. So let's take one step further. How does this chord function? It functions as a subdominant chord, and specifically as a subdominant minor sound. Subdominant means, let's just put it this way, it's between a tonic chord sound or a chord of resolution and a dominant chord sound. A dominant chord sound desperately needing and wanting resolution, right? Or whatever that dominant chord sound happens to be. So a subdominant chord sound, subdominant chords, we do the wandering, we do the a lot of movement happens within that subdominant context. Now, another chord that's a subdominant chord in the key of C is basic four chord or the F, right? And take a look at the similarity between the F. I'm just using a simple F major triad. And if we take that A and move it to an A flat as we did from the D minor to the D minor 7 flat 5, we have F, move down to the A flat. Then we have that nice F minor, and that F minor usually wants to go to the, in triadic form, wants to move to the C. Now I'll play you what I'm talking about. And there's a lot of similarity between that and, you hear that? Oh, I'll go to major. Right. That's similar to what we're that's similar to a tune like Night and Day, where it starts on the minor 7 flat 5, seeming to indicate that we're in a minor key, but we end up moving to a major key. So what we have here are we're thinking two keys at the same time. This is constant. This happens constantly in jazz music, especially, but it happens in pop, and it happens in even country and so on. And that simple chord progression there, like if we talk about the 1 C. Right, 1 4 4 minor, and back to 1. The equivalent of that in a jazzier sound, if you will, is just that instead of the 4, we're using the relative minor of the 2. Same note that's moving, and then the resolution either to minor or major. Minor, dominant, major, right? So that minor 7, that D minor 7 flat 5 chord is a subdominant functioning chord borrowed from the minor key. Right? It doesn't come from a major key. It's not an alteration. It's borrowed from the parallel minor key. We call it parallel because it's coming from the same root as the key of C major. Key of C major. Now key of C minor. Right? Right. So think of those scales as being in parallel, right? And think of the chord progressions that you play as being in parallel. So if you're playing a 4 major chord, it's like in the key of C, it's F major. If you're playing a 4 minor chord, it comes from the key of C minor. If you're playing a 2 minor chord, like a 2 minor 7, that comes from a C major scale, out of the C major scale. If you're playing a minor 7 flat 5, it's coming out of the minor scale. All right, so there's more to a minor 7 flat 5 chord than meets the eye. And it's good to know how they function and where they come from, especially if you intend to either write using these chords or if you intend to improvise using these chords. It's whether it's composition or improvisation, the rules are the same. Okay, cool. I hope that was a help to you. If it was, subscribe, click like. If there's anything that we can answer for you, if you've got any comments, we really want to know what you've got in your mind and what you'd like to see, and the direction that you would like us to go in. All right. Thanks for your attention, and I hope you got something out of that.